My name is Abby Costello, and I'm the Watershed Education Specialist for Medina Soil and Water Conservation District. And today I'm going to be showing you how to use one of our displays called the Enviroscape. Now, this model can be rented out by any teacher or community member that wants to do a short presentation about how what we do on the land influences our waterways and our water health. So we're going to be talking a lot about non-point source pollution today, and that is pollution that we don't necessarily see coming directly from a source. So it's not coming out of a pipe from right from a factory into a stream or something like that. So it is a non-point source pollution. And a lot of times we don't see how people pollute the land just by using it. So this model is great because it helps show other people or community members how we influence our soil and water health by what we do on the land and in the water. So this whole area represents a watershed, and what a watershed is, it's an area of land that all drains into the same body of water. So we have a body of water here that is a lake. We have a stream that goes down into a river, and it all flows directly into our lake. And this model is great because it does represent a lot of what we have in Medina County. We have industry, we have farming, we have lakes like Chippewa Lake or Medina Lake. We also have residential. We have new residents being built all the time, and we have shopping. And then we also have a natural area that would be like a park or something like that. So this is a very good representation of Medina County. And like Medina County, anything that we do will influence the water in Medina County. So we have some different things, like I talked about, some different areas, and each area has different kinds of pollution. And this is when our little tools come in handy. Like we have a little thing of oil and grease right here. It's really Hershey's syrup, so it's easy to be put on here and cleaned up. And if you're using this with children, it's great to let them put this on the model where you would think you would find oil and grease. Like you could find it at a new construction site. If you have a used car lot, you could have leaky vehicles, so I'm going to put some of that on the land. Maybe you don't have a vehicle yourself that's doing too well, so you're leaking oil. Or you change your oil at home, and some people put it right down the storm drain, which the storm drains go right into our creeks unfiltered, so you don't ever want to do something like that. Maybe you have a leaky boat, or a leaky tractor, or maybe you have a leaky factory. And I'm going to put this right inside our factory right here. I'm going to put quite a bit down in there. It's got a hole in the top of it, and this would possibly be a source of pollution that is point source. We would see it coming directly out of it. We also have soil. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that soil is one of our biggest pollutants in our waterways. So I'm going to put a lot of soil down, and this is just coffee grounds. At our construction site, where all the new structures are going in, we're going to put some soil right by our tractor, which is tilling up the land. And I don't know, we have a cow over here that's maybe kicking up some soil as it's by the water's edge. Now I know the cow's a little giant, but it's fun to have a giant cow on the landscape. It's just a little fun. Sometimes I like to call him Cowzilla because he's giant. But talking about cows, cows create a lot of animal waste, just like horses do or dogs do. You know, it's literal dog do. So let's say that this family has a dog and they don't pick up after it, and we have a lamb and a chicken over here. So we're putting down some of the pollution that would come from them. Also, let's say that we have a house that had, you know, maybe a few ants in it, and the homeowner said, hey, I don't want any ants in my house, so I'm going to put down insecticide. And the problem is a lot of people do not follow the directions when it comes to pesticides or fertilizer or things like that. So they might use a lot more than they're supposed to. Now I'm only going to put a drop or two here on the farm. They're probably monitoring how much they're using, because when you're putting insecticides on a whole farm, you don't want to spend more money than you have to. So they're probably using it more accordingly to the instructions. Alrighty. And then the last thing that we have is some fertilizer. So this person here loves their pristine, pretty grass. So they're going to use a lot of fertilizer. They're not even going to look at what is recommended for their usage. Now with the construction site where the houses are going to be, they're going to end up using some grass seed and fertilizer too. So I'm going to put some here. And on the farm, I'm going to sprinkle it onto, not a lot over the whole thing, just a little bit, but it is a larger area, so we might start to see how that influences things. And then that looks pretty good. So right now, we don't see too much in our waterways. We see a little bit of animal waste from the chicken. We see a little bit of oil from the boat. But so far, our streams and our land, you know, our pollutants are just staying where they landed. They're not really going anywhere. And this is the fun part. This is going to represent precipitation, so rain, or even snow. Some of the largest amounts of pollution we get when it comes to E. coli numbers is after the first snow melt. So after the snow starts melting, it takes everything that's been on the ground for all winter, all the animal waste, all the dog waste, and it just washes it right into our streams. So this could be snow or rain, but we're going to do rain right here. And we're just going to do a little bit. We can start to see how some of these are maybe starting to move a little bit, maybe start activating some of them. And here we can really see how some of our waste and our pollution can really start moving. So right now we're seeing our insecticides, that green, really start to move. We're also seeing a lot of our fertilization move, our fertilizers. And some of that is, this area here is a lot steeper, so the topography is very different than over here. This is very flat. This is up higher, and you can see how much quicker those pollutants run into our waterways. So I'm just going to keep spraying. We're going to represent a big storm right here. Oop. This one's spraying a little bit too hard, so I'm just going to keep this one on the factory then. And we're just going to see what happens to our waters as it keeps raining. Here we go. So you can see that some of it stays where it initially was, Like some of the waste has moved a little bit, but most of the insecticides and most of the fertilizer has really moved. So we can see that some of the pollution is going to move faster than other ones. And some of it does stay put, and that could represent how it would get absorbed into the soil. But the more it rains, the more a lot of this pollution is going to get into our waterways. And notice, this is our forest area, like our park. We didn't put any fertilizer down there. We didn't put any insecticides. Maybe someone did walk their animal and we would have gotten a little bit of animal waste. But the areas that are used less by people are going to have less pollution than the rest of it. So this is a very, oh, sorry, we got a little oil spill over here by our factory. It just came straight out of it. So you can see that now our waterways look absolutely disgusting. Not so much here by our forest, but we do have a little bit of brown in it there. And that's probably just coming from the factory. So that's running down. We have some more brown here from the animal waste in the factory. And then you can see how much is coming from both the farm and the residential and industrial area. So the areas that have more people or more land use are going to be the areas that have the biggest problem with pollution. And this is a very quick way of showing people how much a little bit can turn into a lot, especially when all of the water goes to the same area. Now, if you notice, the areas up here seem to be looking a little bit better. Same with the farm right here. But as things wash more towards the middle, or what would be our shared waterway in our watershed, those areas that are downstream, where the water's moving down to, those are the ones where the pollution gets compounded, it gets worse, it starts gathering together, and you start having more issues. So this poor boater here probably wants to dock his boat and get out of there, because that is not a lake I would want to be swimming in or boating in or anything. And we do actually see that issue in some of the lakes in Medina, like in Chippewa Lake. It's Ohio's largest inland glacial lake, so a natural lake. And it has had algal blooms in the past, and that can happen because the water is shallow and there's fertilizer, waste, and sediment in there, and the algae will use that as fuel to grow. So you can see that what we do on our land influences our water. And if you're interested in using a display like this, please come to Medina Soil and Water Conservation District, and you can take this out and use this. Also, we have another video that shows how what we do on the surface can influence our groundwater. So we have a groundwater flow model that also can be used alongside of this. And then we have another Enviroscape that shows a little bit more about an urban area with some of the drainage underneath the roads and whatnot. So it's a great kit to use, and if you like videos like this, give this one a thumbs up. Check in the description below for links on resources you can use with this model if you're teaching. And follow us on YouTube and check us out on Facebook and Instagram. And thank you very much. Bye.